Heya, this is Sydney, and I am here to talk us through it for April 10th, which is Thursday, 2025. It is Jupiter's day. We still have Jupiter in questionable condition, being in his detriment. However, we are now entering a period of time where the moon is going to wrap up being in Virgo, and we are in kind of like an oppositional alley because we have that Pisces pileup that is happening in the sky with Venus, Saturn, and Mercury and the North Node, and the moon is coming up and kind of hitting all of those today. At 3:31 a.m. we have the moon quincunx Chiron, and we don't like that. I think that the moon feels pretty sensitive. She was already sensitive, and now she's even more sensitive because of the quincunx coming up with, you know, the wounded healer, our wounds, the wounds that we can't quite fix. And that is really quite annoying for the moon in Virgo, right? She's a fixer, and Chiron says, well, you can't fix this. And so there's kind of a niggling kind of effect here where you're just feeling pretty, maybe a little bit sad and a little bit anxious that like you're never going to be quite perfect. That kind of idea. 8:17 a.m. we have the moon trine Uranus, and this can bring a sense of intuition and a bit of emotional genius, actually, around what it takes to make us feel stable and secure. I love the trine, especially the earth trine, because it like really kind of is able to bring our inspiration into a sense of like reality and security, right? It's earth is like a literal substance in our world, right? It's something that we can put our hands on, and so there's some sort of genius kind of forming here, and maybe it's just kind of the emotional inspiration about how we want to go forward after we've had kind of all of these like hard, confusing minor aspects in the days prior. And I think if we take whatever that inspiration is into the rest of the day, we are going to be smarter for it, honestly. 8:38 a.m. we have our first opposition to the retrograde Venus in Pisces. So now we have this awareness, right? The opposition brings an awareness. It's me versus you, right? It's me versus us. There's a polarity here. When we're talking about Virgo and Pisces, there's things around service and sacrifice, around analysis and culling versus like totality, right? The analysis and delusion. And there's now an awareness of the things that we perhaps need to sacrifice and give up in order for us to really pursue that beautiful Venusian vision in our future, right? There's like, oh, this is what I need to do here. And the opposition can feel not great, not comfortable, certainly, especially when it happens to be with one of our planets that has to do with our sense of comfort and joy and happiness, right? And also around our emotional needs and regulations. There can also be something about relationship here, right? The moon in Virgo is like, I fixed your breakfast for you, and I made the bed, and I did this, and I did that, right? And Venus is like, I didn't need all of that. I just needed you to like, you know, cover me with all of your love and acceptance, you know? And so they're not seeing eye to eye. After that, we have the moon will oppose Saturn. Just, it's like bam, bam, right? So again, more awareness around the goals and the visions that we have, how we want to create a sense of security and stability, the ways that we want to literally create new ways of being, the sorts of goals, ambitions, you know, this could also be something about work coming up where we're like, you weren't doing the whole job, and the moon in Virgo is like, I'm trying, right? This can also create a sense of depression with the moon Saturn opposition. So this could be a bit of a depressing, dysregulating, again, kind of feeling, especially when maybe something about our relationships has come to our awareness that isn't quite working out. And then Saturn comes in and says, I need this to stop, right? So we could be feeling pretty critical, self-critical, or criticized by the other person, right? Maybe we were stripped off of our pedestal in that moment. At 9:53 a.m., we have the moon sextile Mars, and this is a nice working aspect to like try to get some things done. So perhaps with that sense of awareness that has come up in Venusian and Saturnian things, you know, work and relationships, you know, women and goals, our ambitions, money, all sorts of things. Now we have this working aspect that says like, okay, I can implement from what I know, what I'm aware of. I'm gonna just like keep moving forward. So we like the sextile. I think it kind of allows us to get some things done today. 11:49 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have the moon opposing the Mercury in Pisces. So this is the moon at her very last bits of Virgo, coming up and opposing her ruler. And I think this is kind of like mental confusion. I feel like this has to do with some sort of conversation or mental processing that we did is incorrect and we need to fix it, right? Something that we held in the Mercury and Pisces sort of stories that we have, or delusions, is now, you know, we have an awareness around something that needs to be given up, right? Or tossed off of us, right? We need to throw that off because that's not working. I think we're very aware of what's not working in terms of how we are thinking and processing in that moment. At 6:11 p.m., so just prior to that, when we have that opposition to Mercury, the void of course begins. And so now we are hitting this period of time between, let's say, 12 p.m. and about 6:15 p.m. in which we're in void of course moon. So we're not going to want to take on any new, we're not going to want to initiate any new ventures in this period of time. Also, don't go grocery shopping. You might not really like those groceries once it all, once everything is going again. But just don't initiate anything. Void of course is really a good time for you to just kind of rest if you can, or to just kind of work on settling up old things, tying up loose ends, but not starting new endeavors. So at 6:15, around 6:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the moon is going to enter Libra. Now we have a need to connect, right? We have a need to be social and relating to other people. We want to find harmony and balance. Maybe we find, hopefully, that like the mood will have lightened up a little bit. We're wanting to connect with our love, right? Maybe whatever awareness we had, we're like, cool, okay, I can make those changes. Like maybe I was really feeling kind of uncomfortable, but now we're in this space where we're like, okay, in order for me to feel a sense of comfort, balance, and ease, like I can make these changes and we can really relate to each other. At 6:47 p.m., we have that Libra moon is going to oppose Neptune and Aries. Now the oppositions between the moon and Neptune, right, can bring some sort of awareness, right, the opposition. And I think this is like intuition and a depth of feeling. It can also bring some emotional confusion around how we are trying to go forward and connecting with others. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of two things. You know, I think it definitely has to do with like mentality, you know, the Libra being about how we kind of process and communicate. This could be a very artistic opposition. So if you feel kind of called to create something, I think that could be really cool. It also could just, you feel really like kind of out of it and dreamy and in dreamscape, right? Because of the Neptunian impulse. Or you could just feel a flood of emotion, right? It's still moon Neptune despite of whatever signs it's in. And that can almost feel like a flood of emotions coming over you. So if you feel overwhelmed, know that it will pass in just a few hours, and just kind of maybe sink into the more spiritual feeling of being kind of overwhelmed with a sense of feeling, and like kind of write down those things or create something with that sense of feeling and knowing. All right, that is Thursday. Thanks for joining me. I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye. Hey, thank you for listening to today's Astro Weather with me. I'm Sydney. As a reminder, I'm always open to seeing both new and my beloved returning clients. My website is ddastrology.com. That is D as in dog, D as in dog, astrology.com to check me out, and just click the email buttons in order to schedule with me. If you're into a more conversational feel with your podcast and content, I have a podcast called BS Astrology with my fellow Mercurial Mommy Bender, and we put out episodes every Sunday for the week. Just search BS Astrology on YouTube or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcast, including Spotify, Audible, and more. Have a good day.